Oh me, oh my. I'm a little pissed off at the stupidity of some people. So, strap on your Velcro safety vests, sports fans, to borrow a phrase from Moist Critical. Though I'm still not wearing the white shirt, sorry. But basically, there's been some discourse around Lamine Yamal and Vinicius Jr. and whatever, and particularly as it pertains to Girona. Well, in that discourse just kind of pissed me off. I think it's really stupid and incredibly dumb. This started when Fabrizio Romano, let me make sure I have this tweet up for you, tweeted out this quote. I mean, Carlo obviously said this, but when Fabrizio, the football AI generator, tweets it out, then everybody really pays attention. Said, what happens to Vinicius every year is something that can't be tolerated. Whistles and mini insults even during warm-ups. This is not normal. They shouldn't pay much attention to Vinny and pay more attention to what happens in the stadiums. And then basically there was a very, very popular response to it. Multiple people kind of echoed this response. And it says, Lamine Yamal was applauded by Girona fans on Sunday. Trust me, it's not the skin color that makes people in Spain abuse Vinicius. It's actions like this, right? I've seen justifications like this all over the place, right? And I would just like to point out that at no point is it ever okay to abuse somebody racially. It's just not, right? It is not okay to do. Right, because that is something that is just beyond the bounds of, and clearly these people don't think that's true, right? Clearly they don't believe that's true. They don't necessarily understand how this works. Because I don't leverage this fact often because it shouldn't fucking matter, right? This isn't something that should matter. Yeah, I don't even it is something that is kind of public information because it's like on my Instagram, right? But I have a black brother. I have a brother who's adopted into our family, who is black, right? And so this is a bit more of a personal issue for me than you would probably realize watching these lights reflect off of my incredibly pale face, right? Like it is a little closer to home than you would probably think. And that is the reason that I am so particularly pissed off. It's not the only reason, right? Because I feel like if you're a decent human being, you just don't choose to racially abuse somebody anyways. But I want to draw a distinction for you, because Vinicius is a bit of a shit. Okay, I'm not going to disagree with these people that Vinicius is a bit of a shit. I mean, look, watch this video. Right, I don't know what the voiceover is, so I'm just going to mute it because they're honestly, given who's quote tweeting it, they're probably saying something heinous. Like Vinny's being a bit of a shit here, right? He's being a shithouse. He's rolling the ball back. He's wasting time. He's an antagonizing player. He is not somebody that runs from an antagonizing situation. He's not. Right? He's also not the only footballer that does that. Okay? He's not even close. When Jamie Vardy's flipping the double bird to the entire stadium, right? He's not being racially abused for it. People are calling him a piece of shit. They're booing him. It's England. They're probably calling him a wanker, I don't know. Some other creative insult, right? But they're not racially abusing him. That would be okay. Right? Because I'm not somebody that is anti-football banter. I'm not somebody that is anti being an overly passionate, overly aggressive fan. Right? And I'm aware even that as an American, I'm kind of on the outside of this culture looking in. Right? Which is a seat that I really enjoy sitting in sometimes because I can make fun of everybody equally, and then you can only punch back when we lose to Panama or something, which we did do. So you've got plenty of ammo, right? But if the entire stadium in Girona was chanting was singing na 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 good I can't remember the song. Hey hey hey, goodbye, right? Or honestly, would it be 100% okay if the entire stadium was chanting, fuck you Vinicius or something like that? No, but we've seen that in sports before, and if Vinny is really, as these fans clearly believe, being super antagonistic and really pissing them off, then go for it, man. If you can get an entire stadium chanting, fuck you, Vinicius, that'll become legendary in football comps. Girona fans versus Vinicius, the epic rivalry. But instead, you've chosen to consistently demean somebody based off of their race, which is something that causes a ton of problems and is something that, to be perfectly fucking honest, if you're a white dude who's rooting for Girona in Spain, you couldn't possibly understand. There are certain topics, right? And I know this is hard for people that are just internet sleuths to believe. There are certain topics that you can't be an expert in, that you are not an expert in. And it is worth sitting down and listening to other people talk about those topics to educate you about how it makes them feel, right? And as much as Vinicius is a little shit that is super annoying, he has also been very, very clear, right? Like Vinicius, as far as I'm aware, has never made nearly as much of a fuss about people calling him a wanker, people telling him to fuck off, people telling him that he sucks, right? All the like good, hardcore sports banter, right? But you can see in the way Vinicius reacts to it, the difference in the way this sort of stuff is internalized. And just because you clapped Lamine Yamal off the field, just because you were fucking nice to a black person once in your life, right, does not mean that you're somehow exempt. Like that you can be a piece of shit to Vinicius and just be a racist asshole to him. Like, just, this is not one of those things where like, just because you weren't a racist asshole to Lamine Yamal doesn't mean that you're okay to be a racist asshole to Vinicius because he's like a less respectful player, right? Because let's be perfectly honest, like I was saying earlier, he is far from the only one, right? It just a combination of the internet and one or two incidents has turned Vinicius into a lightning rod, where we are all pretending that he is the only shitty, antagonistic, petty player on the face of the earth. But if you really think about it, there are 5, 10, 15, 20 guys that match that description. There are guys, there are players of color, players of traditionally marginalized groups that a lot of people are racist towards, that are that type of player, but they happen to be in countries or surrounded by fan bases where that shit just doesn't happen as much. Like, look, the United States is far, far from a perfect country. I know that. I'm not an idiot, okay? But if I'm watching an NFL game, right, and I'm a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and the majority of the NFL is black, for crying out loud, right? And we're playing against another NFL team, right? And the other team scores a touchdown, and some dude starts doing the freaking conga and starts shushing the crowd in Tampa, right? And the guy happens to be black, right? My first reaction is not like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make monkey noises. Like, that's not a natural freaking response. I am proud to say that actually in an NFL stadium, the first reaction is usually, fuck you. Like, that's the first reaction. As a sports fan, that's an acceptable reaction, right? Don't be violently angry at the person. That's also crossing a line, right? And I want to be very clear, I'm not like endorsing ridiculously overly aggressive fandom here, right? But like, that's the natural reaction in an NFL stadium, right? And in a lot of football stadiums around the world. And to be honest, in a lot of footballing stadiums in Spain. But it is clear, based off this reaction to 8.8 million views, 50,000 likes. I'm sure half of those are bots, but half of those are fucking real people that genuinely believe that this is a solid justification for being racist towards Vinicius Jr. And it is not. And if you actually believe that it is, I believe you need to sit back and reevaluate why you think that's acceptable, right? Because as much as it's being presented as there are no lines in football fandom, there are. You've just flipped the switch on Vinicius because you've decided that you've reached a terminal velocity, a critical mass of people that think it's acceptable. So now it becomes acceptable public behavior to be able to do this sort of thing when it shouldn't be. And it's not. In any time you are doing something that is belittling somebody or putting somebody down or making fun of somebody or attacking somebody for their race, you're in the wrong. You're on the wrong side of history, and you just should not be doing that. And all it takes is a 5-minute conversation with the person you're doing it towards to understand why you should not be doing that. And I am aware that I am not the ideal vessel for this message, but this is stupid. And this tweet pissed me off. And it does, and to be honest, it doesn't make any sense, right? And so how about you just tell Vinny to fuck off and come up with some really creative chants about how he has a small dick or something, right? And stop being racist shits towards him. Just stop. It's not that hard. I just detailed the reaction in an NFL game. Okay? It is not that hard to not suck. Unless you're Everton this season and up 2 goals. In any other situation, it is not that hard to not suck. Just take a breath. I realize I didn't even necessarily do that. I turned my camera on and was all angry. Just take a breath and really evaluate what's going on in this situation and where you are on that scale of time and history and how people perceive things and how, like, the difference in making other people, like, I know the point is to try and get in Vinny's head, right? And the point is to try and mess with Vinny and piss Vinny off, right? But there are acceptable ways to do that, and there are not acceptable ways to do that. That's why we have laws and culture that dictate the acceptable ways to do that. Okay? Just, please. Just don't believe that tweet. God, that pissed me off, man. Bro, I didn't even know how. I was setting up the other Zealanders when I was going to record, and then I saw this one. Said, Josip Capdevila. I don't understand. Lamine is black and leaves Girona Stadium with applause. Can you explain that to me, Vinicius? I mean, that's a brain-dead tweet, right? Like, that is just... I mean, your argument is that, you know, as long as black people act in a way that you would consider acceptable, you won't be racist shits towards them. That is not the bar we should have, right? Like, that is not, right? That is not it. That is not it. And if somebody was being racist towards you right now, right? Like, your personal conduct should not dictate whether somebody is racist towards you or not. And if somebody was being racist towards you because they thought what you were doing on a particular sporting field was not up to their professional standard, you would probably believe the same thing.